Alrighty, what's up? What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is October the 31st. It's Halloween today. Also, the end of week plus end of month here. Overall markets gapping up about 1.43%, just based off of Amazon, right? Amazon beat earnings yesterday. That's up about 13%. So, nice rally in the market so far. Really, a lot of volatility the past couple days, but not really a clear direction. A lot of the moves have been happening either at the very end of day or with earnings, as you can see. Really, now the overall markets we're kind of back close to that all-time high. So, take a look at some of these names coming into today. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. What's up? What's up? Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's actually get right into the charts and what I'm looking at coming into this morning. Alrighty. So yeah, really coming into today, the key levels that we have marked out is our all-time highs. We had our gap fill. So yesterday, price actually came all the way back down in towards the bottom of this gap, as you can see here. This was very close to end of day. Plus, we had some earnings as well. So you can see overall markets, right, kind of defended this higher time frame gap fill. And now we're back inside of its range. So if we're looking at the ES coming to market open, I really don't see that much that I'm looking for. I personally like the NQ a little bit better just because it's closer to all-time highs. But coming to market open here for the ES, key levels that we're going to have marked out, 6,915 plus it's 6,890. So these are the key levels that we have. You can just see we have multiple touches from yesterday, just around these key levels, and then coming into market open, if we do want to see some more upside, right now it's going to be the break back above, right? 6,915. And then if we reject off this level, a potential bounce play is going to be off your 680.90 here for the ES. As for shorts, right, they're just all trades like in between this range. This range is going to be key here, in my opinion, coming to market open. Right, if we can break above, we're going to see continuation. As I mentioned, if we reject, we're just going to come right back in between this range that we have here for the ES. If you look at the SPY here, really the key levels that I have marked out, it's going to be your previous day highs. You can see really yesterday, the levels that we have marked out, see price kind of like wicks through them, or we've been defending our gap fills, or we broke underneath and kind of wicked right back above. So whenever this is the case, if we're just looking at last 2 days price action, you can see we've had some pretty big candles in both directions, but not really that clear of a direction. You can see market drop, bought right back up, then dropped in the pre-market, bought right back up, dropped in the in the power hour, and then bought right back up. So really there hasn't been a very clear direction here on the SPY the past 2 days. If you look at the overall direction, right, it's still technically bullish. If you're looking at this from a higher time frame perspective, right, higher lows are being built, right, I would like to see the market gravitate back up and towards your all-time highs, specifically on the QQQ. Currently, we're on the SPY chart, right? The key levels is going to be your previous day highs, 685. So far, we're breaking above it here in the pre-market. We like to see it maintain above 685 if we want to see any sort of push, potentially back up and towards the upside here, 687. If you look at the regular trading hours and you go into lower time frames, we do have a very small now gap that we can fill back towards the upside. But you can see we have a pretty big gap. Preferably, we want to see, right, the gap and go or gap and hold now above your previous day highs for continuation. So let's go back onto the lower time frames coming to market open. As I mentioned, right, the hold for continuation. If we break underneath, potentially we could see a reversal here back on SPY. So key level previous day highs 685.50. All right, let's go on to the NQ chart. So the NQ chart, kind of similar to SPY. As I mentioned, the past 2 days, there hasn't been really a clear direction in the overall markets. Higher time frames, we are still bullish just because we're maintaining higher lows. But overall, the past 2 days, intraday price action wise, we've been just kind of big moves downside, back towards the highs, big moves downside, back towards the highs. At least coming to market open today here for the Qs. The key levels I have marked out is your 26 to 30. So coming into today, really if we can maintain above this level, we can see a potential push back up and towards our all-time highs here, 26,310. So that's what we have coming into today here for the NQ. If we break back underneath, it's similar thing, potential kind of reversals in play. As for the QQQ, as I mentioned, we are still bullish. Now what I'd like to see based off the higher time frames is a push up and towards our all-time highs. If I zoom in here, key levels coming into today is just going to be your Tuesday's highs, 630, 634.50. What I like to see is maintain price for this continued push back up and towards all-time highs and above. So yeah, that's really going to be the key level for the Qs along with the SPY coming into market open. I would just like to see them maintain above key levels for now, this push up and towards our all-time highs. As for our potential shorts, really shorts can be above your all-time highs, kind of rejection off this level, or if price wanted to show some weakness underneath your 634.50 for a potential push back down in towards that 632.50. I'm more neutral in the markets just based off of the past 2 days price action, leaning a little bit more towards the upside with the soft bias. All right, let's go on to some tech names that I have coming into today. Let's go into Google. So Google, number one, nice earnings yesterday. One of my main watches yesterday for a potential push higher, but ultimately right off the bat already dropped towards the downside. So not really too much to talk about on this name. Key level earnings high, earnings low. Now it's just going to consolidate in between this high and low until we're able to have maybe like an inside bar day, break above your inside bar, continuation to the outside bar, break below it, potential continuation lower. So for Google, until we can break, really now it's going to be its previous day's range. I'll be a little bit more hands off. As for Nvidia, this one in my opinion looks one of the best for continuation higher. Some of the levels I have marked out coming into today. Previous day highs. We have your 207 here as well. What I like to see coming into today, break above 207, potential continuation towards your 209. If we reject off this 207, it could come all the way back down in towards our previous day highs, 205, for a potential move back up in towards our 209 and above. As for some other potential opportunities, maybe if it rejects off this 207, potential push down in towards your previous day highs. I don't really like too many shorts if you're looking at this, as I mentioned, on the higher time frames, or if you go into the hourly chart. Right, really strong push up. This is your first pullback. There's a very good chance Nvidia is going to gravitate back up and towards your all-time highs. First pullback usually gets bought up. So we'll keep an eye out on Nvidia coming to market open. As I mentioned, the key levels we already have drawn out. As for Apple, okay, As for Apple coming into today, the key levels that we're going to have marked out really is just going to be your earnings high plus kind of your earnings low and your previous day highs. So you had a nice pop here on Apple with earnings in the after hours. And now we're just kind of pulling back here in the pre-market. So coming into today, Apple, not really a clear earnings play. Something like Amazon, where you have a clear objective, or you have a clear bias. You could be looking for an opening play. As for Apple, I'll be a little bit more cautious. This one, in my opinion, more neutral. So key levels for today. Now you can just kind of mark out your pre-market levels and use this as key levels. No bias on this one. Let's go into Amazon. So Amazon's back at all-time highs, which is nice. So this one kind of lagging the overall market. Finally, we had some nice earnings, and now we're back at your all-time highs. Key levels that we have marked out is going to be your previous all-time highs. In this case, it's your 240. Other levels we can have marked out, 255, just mark out the top of the wick. And we can also mark out kind of this pre-market low, plus this key level from yesterday. So coming into today here for Amazon, we're going to keep an eye out on this ticker just because it had earnings yesterday, as I mentioned. Potential opening drive, dip and rip, right back in towards our 248 for this push up in towards our 255. So we'll keep an eye out on Amazon today, right? Clear earnings beat above now your all-time highs. We like to see a pullback coming to market open. As long as you can maintain above your 248, we could be looking for a push up in towards this 255. So this could be my main watch coming into today, just because, as I mentioned, it does have earnings. So we'll be looking for a dip and rip on this one. Make sure, as I mentioned, right, make sure it dips before you look to take it, just because, right, IV is going to be elevated just because we do have earnings. So we want to be looking for the IV flush. As for AMD, all right, coming into today here for AMD, key levels that we have marked out. You can see at least this week's price action, we've really just been kind of ranging. Yesterday, came all the way back down in towards our Monday's lows and our last Friday's highs. So I consider AMD more neutral than anything. Key level that we have marked out, 253, 258, and 264. If you do want to see some upside, you need it above your 258. Below your 258, we can see a potential continuation lower. So that's the key levels that we have marked out. For AMD, at least today, yeah, it's going to be really the whole 258 potential continuation higher, or right, some sort of consolidation, right? Maybe opening range break for a potential push up in towards that 264. As for Tesla, not too much to talk about on this one. Mentioned a little bit weaker, at least it kind of dropped in the pre-market. Got underneath key levels, and now holding underneath key levels, we mentioned really the next level all the way back down in towards that Monday's low, which is that 440. So for Tesla, right, more neutral. It's actually weaker compared to the overall markets. Overall markets got bought up. Tesla did not get bought up, and now we're at the low of the range. For this one, still bullish here on the daily chart, but now it's just kind of back inside this range, most likely going to kind of form a longer term consolidation. So this is what we have here. Key levels 450, and we also have our 440. What we'd like to see, break above, potential hold for continuation. Another possible scenario, dip all the way back down in towards your previous day lows for a pushback towards upside. As for Microsoft, more neutral based off the earnings yesterday. We're just keep an eye out on this 530. Not too much to talk about on this one. As for Meta, came back up and towards our earnings low. Couple reactions off this level. If we want to see a reversal, break back above our earnings low. Want to see continuation lower, reject off this level. As for Netflix, a little bit of a pop yesterday, just due to had a news in the after hours talking about a potential 10-to-1 split, but now we're just coming right back towards the downside. Netflix has been a lot weaker compared to the overall markets. We had earnings as well, kind of dropped us towards the downside. Really, I would like to see buyers step in here on Netflix for a reversal. If we don't step in here, we have a little bit more room lower, which is down in towards that 1060. Okay, let me go over some of my watches coming into market open. It does seem like the Qs is going to push up and towards our all-time highs here in the pre-market, but as I mentioned, now most likely it's just going to be the reaction that we have off your all-time highs. I don't really want to long in towards all-time highs just because now we're going to have a really big gap. It's going to think longs might be a little bit more difficult today for the Qs because longs are going to be above your 636. My opinion, I think this is going to be a little bit more difficult just because, as I mentioned, we have a big move in the markets. We very much well could come up, reject off this level, and have a potential reversal here. So I'm going to be a little bit more cautious today after this pretty big move here in the pre-market. As for the SPY, similar thing. Key levels that we have marked up previous day highs. If we can come back and retest, we can be looking for a potential move higher. But now with the Qs hitting your all-time highs, I'd be a little. Sorry, yeah, with the Qs hitting all-time highs, I'll be a little bit more cautious here on the SPY. But at least my main watch is coming to market open. I'm going to quickly go over this and then we'll go over some other names. But NVIDIA, I like this one on the higher time frames. Keep an eye out on your 207, right? Hold above your 207, potential continuation higher, or right, look for the reclaim back above if it breaks underneath. And then Amazon, just because we had earnings here, we have your pre-market lows plus your key levels from yesterday. We're going to be looking for right the hold above this level for a continuation back up in towards our 255. Amazon main watch, and then we'll keep an eye out on NVIDIA as well. As for everything else, Apple, key level pre-market highs, potential break above your pre-market highs, continuation up and towards your after hours highs. Yeah, besides that, these are really my three main watches: Apple, Amazon, and NVIDIA as well. All right. Okay, if you guys do have any tickers or any charts you guys would like me to go over, I'll go over them for the next 5-10 minutes, and then I am going to get ready for a market open. Alrighty. Let's go over some tickers here now. Let's see. VIX is down, SPY and Q is also down. Yesterday, is this divergence is a bullish sign. It's just because right now, right, there's a lot of, whenever the VIX is down, right, you can see in the after hours now, the market's rising. So VIX is now down, and now the overall markets are rising, just because we had a decent amount of volatility. Generally speaking, right, one or the other is gonna ultimately, whenever we usually have divergence, which usually means if the VIX is going down, that usually means the Qs and SPY are going up. Whenever they're going in a similar direction, usually one of them is going to budge, either the VIX or the overall markets. As for coin, MSTR, really not too much to talk about here. Bitcoin kind of pulling back, kind of right in towards our key level. Yeah, my bad. For coin, really just based off Bitcoin. If we can maintain here, we can see continuation higher, break underneath, potential continuation lower here. I like Bitcoin as long as it can maintain above this key area. As for SoFi, recently had earnings. As I mentioned, be cautious of a little bit of a pullback. Earnings high, earnings low, came up, took it out. Now we're going to come down, most likely take out your earnings low, which technically we took out on day number 1. But now we just came back down into key levels of support. I'd just like to see SoFi maintain above your 29 for a potential push higher. Overall, SoFi, really bullish. This might be your first kind of initial sign here on the daily chart where price could slow down just a little bit. Key level 30. And Q, went over that one. You guys can always rewind. As for WDC, Western Digital, you can see had some earnings as well here in the pre-market, or sorry, in the after hours. Talked about this one the other day, but nice kind of break above. Nice retest, and now continuation. As for levels that you're going to keep an eye out on, you can mark out this earnings high, first key level, and then you can also mark out your after hours high. So for Western Digital, really break above 153, hold above, continuation up and towards this 156. As for Palantir, nice kind of hold of your previous day lows yesterday. And now we're back towards the upside. Palantir is fairly bullish. You can see every single higher low being bought up. Palantir coming to this morning, really break above your previous day highs for this potential continue push up and towards your 202 and above. So that's what we have for Palantir coming into today. 202, previous day highs, have that marked out. Sorry, it's your 200. If it rejects, we could potentially come right back down and towards your 197. All right, I'll go over a couple more names here. Can you talk about NTZ? Not exactly sure what that is. No, maybe no trade zones. It's just your mark out your key level. So maybe if we're inside of its previous day's range or something where you don't really want to be trading in, then you can just mark that out. So for example, let's say for Apple coming to market open, you have this level marked out. Pre-market high, pre-market low. This can be your no trade zone. So you'd only take trades above your pre-market highs or below your pre-market lows. Just because we have a little bit of a range here in the pre-market, a bigger range due to earnings. And generally speaking, if if we're in between here, there's probably not going to be too many good opportunities. So we're waiting for the break. Yeah, I'll go over a couple more names here, and then I'm going to talk about my top watches once again, and I'm going to call it. Let's see, the VIX. So yeah, let me just explain this. So the VIX, generally speaking, if the VIX rises, that means the overall markets are going to go down. Right? If the VIX drops, then the overall market should rise. Oops, market. So whenever they're doing, right, this is normal markets. So let's say the VIX is going up and the market's going up, there's divergence. So that usually means, right, something is pricing in, right? Either the VIX is overpriced for volatility or the overall market is inflated and it's going to drop. Like one or the other is going to budge. This actually happened not too long ago, right? During right here, you can see when we had this spike, markets was rising, even though the VIX was rising as well. So one of the other has to budge, right? Either the market is going to have a significant drop or the VIX, the volume or the volatility is just going to cool off. So in this case, right, we had a huge pop up and towards 30 on the VIX, even though the market was still holding up. Right, it's only down like 2% off highs or a very minimal amount. And then right, VIX cooled off and now market back towards all-time highs. But yeah, one of the other has to budge, either the VIX or the Qs, because they're not correlated assets. They're inversely correlated. Okay. Been following you at 40K. Have not missed a single video. Thank you for being consistent, helping us with all our morning lives and weekly outlooks. Hope your subs keep growing. Appreciate that. Okay. Let me go into my game plan once more, and I'm going to call it a day here. As I mentioned, key levels today, Tuesday's highs, and now it's going to be your all-time highs. I would just be a little bit more cautious right off the market open. If you want a long, we need to pull back before your all-time highs. This is not really a long I'm really interested in. Above your above your 636. In my opinion, this is going to be a little bit more difficult just because look where we're coming from. Huge gap up in the overnight session. If we look for longs above your all-time highs, it very much well could reject and we could see a pretty big reversal. So I want to be cautious if we're already at your all-time highs here in the pre-market. If we pull back, then we could be looking for a potential long towards your all-time highs. So I'd much rather look for this. As for shorts, I'm not that interested. Maybe you could be looking for a short above your all-time highs for a reversal trade. That's also in play. As for the SPY, right, similar thing. Key level, SPY's lagging behind, but key level previous day highs for longs towards upside. If we break underneath, potential reversal here in the overall markets. My main watch, as I mentioned, Amazon, earnings, right, look for a dip and rip. We can be looking at the 250 calls, or you could be looking at the 255s. You really want to see an IV flush dip and then a pop back up and towards your after hours highs. So this is what we have here for Amazon, right? Keep an eye out on your dip coming to market open. I do like NVIDIA here as well. Key level I have marked out 207, or if price comes all the way back down kind of in towards your previous day highs, I like this for kind of a continuation back towards the upside here as well. And then Apple, soft watch, not really my main watch. If it can break above, potentially you can see your after hours highs. I think this is, I'd much rather trade Amazon than Apple, but this is something we can be looking for as well. But yeah, besides that, that seems like it's about it. Today I should do like Palantir here. So let's keep an eye on Palantir. If you can break above your previous day highs, retest for continuation towards the upside. As for everything else, semis are still holding up, so you can keep an eye out on TSMMU. Oracle drop right back down and towards our key level as we mentioned. Higher time frame kind of retest from a while back. There's been a couple other names that have been fairly bullish. So yeah, just keep an eye out on key levels coming into today. I'd be cautious, right? The past kind of 2 days, we've had some interesting price action with earnings, with FOMC. Right, we don't have any earnings or FOMC anymore, so we'll see what kind of shapes up coming into today. But we just want to be a little bit more cautious, just because we had a decent amount of volatility the past 2 days. But we have our levels set out. We have our watches coming to market open. And yeah, that is going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, I'm still kind of sick, so we'll see if my voice gets better. Hopefully, it definitely is better the past couple of days. But yeah, I still have to drink a decent amount of water. Hopefully by Monday morning, I should be back to 100%. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Hope you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the watch list the daily watch list, that one's in the description. And then yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. And I will see you guys all on Monday. All right. Take care, everyone. Peace.